Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, the Crypto Hipster, Jamil Hassan, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, artists, musicians, everybody across the world of crypto, blockchain, investing, you name it. I will have awesome interviews and bring to you amazing guests. And I have an amazing guest today. He is a wealth building strategist who helps six-figure earners create multiple streams of passive income by building multi-million-dollar portfolios. His name is Jack Gibson. Jack, welcome.
Thanks, Jamil. Pleasure to be here. Excited for the combo.
Awesome. Pleasure to have you here. And let me kick things off and ask you the first question is what is your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
Well, the background goes back quite a ways. I'm 45 now. I started in business when I was 19. The story I like to tell is, I had two dads essentially. I had two rich dads essentially. I didn't have a rich dad, poor dad. But my secondary dad was my uncle. I affectionately called him Uncle Duke. He was a entrepreneur. He had three different businesses. He had a huge farming operation. He had a party rental business that he kind of did as a side hustle. And then he had $1 million insurance book for property and casualty. And so I got to see how wealth is built. My dad worked as he had a good paying career in insurance, but I got to see how real wealth is made. And from what my perspective was, it wasn't made in a job. It was made in starting businesses, growing those businesses, increasing their cash flow, and then banking that money and, putting it into more assets. And that's what I saw my wealthy uncle do. And when he passed away at, unfortunately, a young age, he passed away with multi-million-dollar portfolio. And the week that changed my life, I went to work for him on his farm one summer. And at the same point, I had also started in my marketing business. I started in direct sales, nutrition, back when I was in college. And so right around the same week that I started in that, I needed to pick up some income. So I went to my uncle's farm. I picked up sticks, cleared debris off newly acquired farmland. And I put in 20 hours. It was the longest 20 hours, the loneliest 20 hours, the worst 20 hours of my life to that point. It was so bad. And he gives me $100 when I turned in my timesheet. And I'm like, $5 an hour for that? Now that was 1997, so inflation maybe hadn't kicked in quite so much, but still it was pittance for the work that was put in. And at the same time, I made a $200 sale that week and made $100 profit off that, and that took me 30 minutes. So that was the point at which I said, profits are better than wages. I'm never working for anybody else again. I'm doing my own thing. I'm building my own businesses. I'm never taking a job. This is terrible. And so that was the last job I ever had. I've never looked back. And I have five businesses, I guess, at this point. And one of them is a Bitcoin mining operation, which I'm sure we'll dive into. So yeah, I think it's a logical background. I was exposed to entrepreneurship, and I got the bug at a young age. I saw how wealth was made and said, I'm all in. And that's all I've ever done.
Wow. Awesome. So I'll ask you first about one of your businesses, then we'll get into the Bitcoin mining, right? What is My Indestructible Wealth all about? And how do you help your clients? And what sets you apart from the other wealth managers out there?
Yeah, I did well in my first two businesses. And in the marketing business that I did that for, I've done that for 25 years now. I did well in real estate. We fixed and flipped about 300 homes. We definitely had some problems though, that, mistakes we made that caused us to lose quite a bit of money. But of course we ended up making more money than we lost. And I realized, that I had done some things that were really, really well done. Like I did the right things. And then I made some really bad mistakes too. And one of those mistakes in my investing journey, when I was 21, I had saved up about 50 grand in college from the profits of my marketing business. And I went out and bought tech stocks right before the 2000 dot-com bubble crash. So I lost half the money right then, because what was I doing? Well, I was investing into things that I didn't understand. I put too much money into those assets, and I was chasing price action. So anytime, and this is what I see young investors do all the time, they make those three mistakes and therefore they lose their money. And that's exactly what happened to me. So about 2-3 years ago, I started getting kind of this itch inside, like, oh man, I really want to help this younger generation of investors to avoid the mistakes that I've made. I really think I could make a difference in helping them to set up their, their wealth plans so they can avoid the costly mistakes that I've made and get there a lot faster, wherever there is for them, right? Where is there? It's always a moving line. But I said, okay, I'm going to start this business as an education company, and it's going to be a fulfillment company. And then it's also going to be a marketing company to help me to promote my other businesses. And so, yeah, it's been, it's been quite the journey. I think, as you know, Jamil, creating content and pushing out, free, valuable content to build an audience, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. You're competing with a lot of other voices and noise and very big names and popular people that you're competing for attention. And so I found that this is one of the more difficult businesses, actually, out of the businesses that I've built. In fact, I tell people all the time, I just raised $1 million for a car wash syndicated investment opportunity that we're doing. And that was way easier to do that, to get, 10 people to invest 100 grand than it has been to build an audience on Indestructible Wealth. So I don't know what you can relate to that or not, but that's my experience so far. Creating content is awesome. It's fun, but it's not easy to do.
Yeah, it's not easy. I was only recently told that I'm competing against people who had no idea what I was competing against. My goal is just to capture my guest thought leadership and present that to the world. I have listeners in 80 countries, and I'm grateful for that. So it's fun, but it's challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You mentioned you have a Bitcoin mining company. There are some companies recently that shuttered their businesses, and you're still going, right? So what is your focus, and how are you keeping the doors open, and what should other people learn from you?
Well, I think the reason why we're still going, that's a great question. And I appreciate it because, just to be able to survive over the last year and a half in the crypto space, I think that is probably, unfortunately, that was the main goal, just survive, outlast the market. We didn't take on we didn't take on any debt whatsoever. So everything that we've done or investors have done, it's all been in cash. So we had to put about $300,000 into the operation to get it off the ground. That includes, the power transformer that you need to convert the power for all your machines. That was 100 grand. And then the container, we ordered it, and then it took a year to come in. Well, by the time it came in, the parts were all not doubled, but close to. So then what we thought was, I don't know, we were getting for $40,000 for the container, turned into 80 by the time we had to pay for it. But we didn't take on debt. We also didn't buy expensive brand new machines at the peak of the market. The machines go in correlation to Bitcoin price. The higher Bitcoin prices, the more sought after the machines are, because they make more profit. So the more income that they generate, they're going to command a higher price. That's just the laws of supply and demand and how investment products work, right? So when Bitcoin now is at, a low, it's not at its, dropped down to 15. As we record this, it's right around 28, but it's still not at a super profitable position. However, it's still very profitable with the brand new machines that mine, at 141. We're getting them to mine around 141 terahash, right? So comparative to the machines that we bought a year and a half ago, which were the 75 S17, machines, we're able to produce, for the same electric cost, double the Bitcoin now. And so that and not being in those machines and having purchased them with debt, at the peak of the market, that's what's enabled us to, not only survive, but now we're thriving. I mean, we have very, very profitable, operation going. In fact, the machines are kicking off somewhere in the 25 to 28% ROI right now.
That's pretty good. 28
Yeah.
RPI in this market's good.
Yeah. The reason I got into the, mining crypto, mining Bitcoin, I missed out, to be honest, when it was at a lower price. I had opportunities. And in fact, I did buy some when it was around 3,000, back in the 2016, I think 17, but I didn't understand it enough. I hadn't done any research on it. I'd never read the book, The Bitcoin Standard. And when I read that book, that changed my entire viewpoint on Bitcoin as a store of value and as all the 4 principles of sound money, which Bitcoin is the only money in human history that's hit all 4 criteria, fundamentals of sound money, right? So once I understood all of the different aspects of Bitcoin, the underlying technical valuation of it, and really what it does and how it's a superior store of value, all of those things that all of your listeners already know, well, then I was like, man, I want to get this cheaper, right? How do I get a better deal? And so mining it, if you're willing to play a longer game, mining allows you to dollar cost average at a much lower than spot price of Bitcoin. And so that's why I went all in on it. And then, Jamil, what happened was, oh, well, we've got all this infrastructure. We've got all this space. I don't have enough capital to fill these up with all the machines that I want to buy. I would if I had all the money, but you're talking several $1 million, in cash to be able to fill up those containers. So I'm like, well, I've got a business here now. I can start offering these machines and these slots to other investors that want to mine Bitcoin and want to have it, more of a done for you automated passive income stream. And so for those that believe in Bitcoin and they want to get it at a cheaper price, they're willing to play the long game. Well, Bitcoin mining is a great way to go. And so that's where we're at today.
So let me have a follow-up there. And I don't want to assume everybody in my audience knows the 4 principles of sound money. Some people may not. So could you briefly walk us through what those 4 principles are?
I hope I can remember them, but yes, great question. So, when you look back over the last, thousands of years of recorded history, right, with what types of money have been into play, right? And when you look back over the last several thousand years, fiat currency, which is a government backed or government produced currency, right? It has never survived the test of time. And meaning that there's never been a fiat currency that has stood the test of time over the course of a 100-year period, right? So the US dollar has made it a couple 100 years at this point, right? So we can say, well, that stood the test of time, but in the scope of over thousands of years, the chances that the US dollar, based on what's happened to other government currencies and based on the fact that how they're debasing the currency, they keep printing more and more of it, they're manipulating the supply of it, that only typically history shows us that only goes one way, and it means the end of that currency eventually. When that happens, who knows? I don't really think that we're going to see that within my lifetime. I don't necessarily think we'll see it within my children's lifetime, but we know that's in all likelihood, that's an event that will happen, right? Well, why is that? Well, if you look at the 4 principles of sound money, right? You got number 1, it's a finite supply. The reason why gold has lasted for thousands of years, it's a finite supply. You can't go out and print gold. You can't really mine it that easily. I mean, you can certainly mine and get more out of the ground, but there's not that much that they can do. So about 3% of new gold is introduced into the market per year. And that's what keeps and maintains the value of gold. If all of a sudden 50% of new supply were all of a sudden introduced into the gold market in one year, I mean, obviously we know what happened. Gold would absolutely plummet in a huge way in value. So then you've also got, so decentralized. So when you look at, what does that mean? Well, that means that not one person or one group of people, a central authority does not govern it. So nobody governs gold. No, certain countries have a lot of gold, but they can't control the supply of gold. They can't manipulate it. So that's another reason gold has stood the test of time, is that it's a decentralized asset that nobody can manipulate. The third thing is that it's indestructible. So gold cannot be destroyed. Obviously it can be changed a bit, but you can't destroy gold, right? It's indestructible asset. So that creates the third principle of sound money. The fourth principle is it easily transferable? Well, this is where gold meets its maker, so to speak. It cannot be easily transferable. In other words, if I want to pay somebody in gold that lives in another country, well, I have to transport the gold, and that's very obviously, that has risks. And then is it easily to break it down into amounts that you can pay somebody? I mean, what are you going to show up with, a big brick, a gold brick, a bullion, and then you're going to try to figure out how much that's worth versus what they're trying to trade you for? It just doesn't work very well, right? So that's a huge knock on gold, is that it doesn't hit that fourth criteria. Now, if we look at government-backed US dollars, they really only hit one of those criteria. It hits the easily transferable. I can transfer dollars to you or to anywhere in the country or the world within a few minutes, and they're going to have it, right? So it's easily transferable, but it's definitely not, it's not indestructible by any means. It is definitely centralized. And you can definitely, it's not finite in supply. It can be manipulated and printed, right? Whereas, if you guys get where I'm going with this, if you think about Bitcoin, it hits all four of those. It has a finite supply, meaning only 21 million will ever be, according to its code, will ever be created. It's indestructible. There's not anybody that can destroy it at this point. It would take somebody hacking 51% of the computers that run the Bitcoin network. I don't see that ever being able to be possible. It's very easily transferable. I mean, I can send Bitcoin to anybody, any in the world within probably 10 minutes. And, it's decentralized. It's a peer-to-peer payment system. So if we look at that and say, let's ignore the price action of Bitcoin, because it is a very volatile asset. I mean, and it's an early stage technology. So it is going to be very, very volatile. That any early stage technology asset has always been extremely up and down in price action in its early stages. As it matures and as it grows, then the prices start to stabilize. Well, that's the same thing we're going to see in Bitcoin. So we just got to be willing to, in other words, just take the punches that Bitcoin throws at us. We know that it's going to go up fast. It's going to go down just as fast sometimes. But if we look at this over a 5 to 10 year time horizon, it's an incredible asset to own. In fact, over a 4-year period of time, there's never been an asset over the last 12 years that has outperformed Bitcoin. So that's, as Bitcoin goes, so goes the rest of the crypto market. Whenever Bitcoin cranks, the rest of the altcoins kind of slingshot their way right along with it. So I want more Bitcoin. I would love Bitcoin. I just want it cheaper. So I'm mining.
Sounds like a good plan to me. I want to go back to something you said earlier. You said you want to help the younger generations, right? So one of the things I noticed over the past few years is that these younger generations are focused on the tactics of how to trade, how to do technical, and like the actual functions or tasks associated with following how people made money, instead of like the overall arching strategy, like build the balance sheet first, right? Or whatever the strategy may be. Why is strategy more important than tactics? And what message could you have for these younger investors, these, the Gen Zs or younger who are trying to learn and navigate their way to create, indestructible wealth?
That's a great question. If we look at how wealth is built and we look at predominantly, let's just look at the wealthy and study what the wealthy think. And contrary to what most people think, the wealthy did not take gargantuan risks to become wealthy. Their primary mantra is safety first. They want to be conservative with their initial principal capital. And so then what they do, if they do want to get a little gamble and a little bit risky, is they take the streams of income from their principal capital that's invested into more safe, conservative assets, like say real estate, income producing real estate. They'll take the streams of income from that, and that's what they use to do their speculating. That's what they use to do their, early stage technology type plays. So if we want to be like the wealthy, well, let's emulate them, let's study them, and let's try to replicate how it is that they think. And, I don't know anybody that's created meaningful wealth that sustained it over a long period of time that has ever gone all in on one technology, one sector, and has been able to, sustain that type of wealth. So my thought process is asset allocation. Yes, let's get crypto, depending on your risk tolerance and how much you love it, get a lot of crypto. Great. If you really understand it, you're in it for the very long haul. You're not really as concerned about the price action because you understand where it's going over the long haul, then great. Put a big chunk of it in your asset, allocation plan. For me, and the way that we, coach our clients and whatnot is, let's get some good, stable assets in your portfolio. Let's get some rental properties. Let's get some syndication, where you're, investing with, if you're accredited, you can invest with other high affluent, investors into bigger, larger deals that are more passive and they make more money. Let's get, some good dividend stocks, let's get some assets in different asset classes. And that is really what helps people become wealthy, but also create indestructible wealth, where that it's not something that comes quickly and then goes just as quickly as well. So that's the biggest thing, is the strategy is how are you going to look up your whole portfolio and what different asset classes are you going to get into versus I'm just doing one asset class like crypto. And then now it's okay, how do I, tactically make the most money within this? That's, to me, the difference of thinking strategically and tactically is what's your asset allocation mix. That's what determines returns on portfolios over the long haul.
Okay. So say you're younger and you don't have any money to asset allocate, right? Or you have very few. Like, how do you begin to build those passive streams of income starting from zero in a tumultuous market?
Yeah, it's not easy to do. Well, my biggest thing is investing into yourself first. What's your own level of education? What's your mindset? I feel if you put the most amount of time, energy, and money back into the real estate between your two ears, that's where you're going to get the biggest return. All the books that I have behind me, that are right here, those are why I'm rich. Like those are the real deals, the books, the coaches that I've hired that pour into me and help me to see things differently, to be more strategic and to make more money in my businesses. Those are great investments. So sometimes people skip over investing into yourself, going to the seminar, going to the, to the conference that can teach you new things and raise your level of mindset and your skills so that you can make more money. Because at the end of the day, the best way to become really wealthy is to increase your income dramatically. And if you can, the way you increase your income, the only way I know is you've got to increase your skills. You've got to increase your mindset. And the only way that happens, well, you've got to learn new things. You can't, expect what you know right now to get you to the next level. It's what you don't know, or even what you don't know that you don't know, that's causing you to not get to that next level. It's the person that you haven't met yet, you haven't networked yet, that could transform your entire business, you know? So I'm all about fundamentals of long-term wealth creation. And yes, Bitcoin is certainly it's a part of that, but it is just a part. Somebody starting from zero, they need to make more money, honestly. Like putting 2, 3, 500, $1,000 into any asset class, whether it's crypto or anything else. I mean, even if it goes up 100%, that doesn't change your life hardly at all. But if you were to take your income from 5,000 a month to 10,000 a month, that changes your life in a big way. So I'm all about, let's do that. And then let's keep our expenses in check. So we don't, as our income grows, we don't automatically raise up our lifestyle to match it. And let's bank that difference and invest that difference into, get Bitcoin, get Ethereum, get a chunk of that. If you're all about crypto, you believe in it, and you don't care about the price action necessarily, then, you're first getting started, I don't mind somebody going all in at a young age, but, I think that for a lot of people that we saw, they just put way too much in chasing price action, and they just didn't understand what was the underlying technology. They didn't understand what they were investing into. It was the same thing I did, just a different type of asset class. The same thing I did back in 2000 when I chased the tech stocks. They did the same thing in 20 and 21. They were chasing momentum. They were chasing past returns. They didn't know what they were buying, and they put way too much in based on their risk tolerance. And that's who got hurt in crypto.
Interesting. So I want to draw a distinction there between skills and coaching, right? I can't see any of the titles of the books you have on your shelf, but what benefits have you received by seeking out different coaches, and what have you learned that you've been able to apply toward that mindset? I'm sure there's a lot.
Yeah, it's so hard to say. Here's the thing. When we buy an asset, let's say we buy a property for 100 grand and it goes to 150, and in the meantime we collected 20,000 in rent, right? Well, that's a return that we can easily quantify. We can say that investment yielded that return. Whereas when we hire coaches, or we read books, or we go to seminars and we invest into our own mindset, and you can't quantify it. You have no idea. You really can't say, well, because of that coaching or that book or whatever, that I made this much money. Maybe you have a little bit of a general idea of how it helped, but you don't really know. You can't really express that and quantify that, right? So that's the problem with it, is that it's an unknown. And so when we don't know, then we tend to shy away from those types of things because, well, we just don't know how much it helped, right? All I know is that if you took away all the books I've read, took away all the coaches, and all the seminars, I'd make a fraction of what I'm making today, a fraction, if that. And that's if I'm lucky. So I know it's made an incredible difference. I just don't know, can't say exactly how much, but that's the thing. You'll get your biggest return by far. You just won't be able to quantify it.
Makes sense. Yeah, I've seen way too many people make a quick buck and then increase their lifestyle and then go broke. So,
oh, it happens all the time. I mean, it happens more that way than it doesn't happen that way, to what I've seen. And especially I've seen it over and over again with these 20s and 30s year old investors, right? They cannot help themselves. They want to get rich quickly. And I get it, but getting rich slowly is the only way that wealth has really ever been made for the vast majority of people, and that they've been able to hold on to it. A lot of times I don't think people really realize they don't want to get rich quick because they don't have the temperament, they don't have the personality, they don't have the mindset to hold on to it. They wouldn't know what to do with it when it happened. And it would hurt them in their long run. It would actually hurt their life to have a big, quick jump in wealth quickly. I've seen that happen many times, where I'm like, wow, that money corrupted their heart and their soul, and it turned them into, or maybe it magnified who they were at a much higher level, and they were not ready for that type of money. And so that money will find its way to somebody else who can handle it and who will not be, corrupted from it.
Yeah, it takes discipline. I'm I'm trying to I have two children. One's a teenager, 13, and one's 10. And the 10-year-old likes to take the candy cigarettes to school and now and later and stuff and sell them. He's like, comes back some days to school. He's like, I made $60 today. I'm like, good. I'm like, I didn't make $60 today. But how do you, why is it important, and how do we begin to instill the entrepreneurial spirit in our children?
Yeah, great question. Mine are 13 and 15, so I'm like right in there with you. Wonderful ages. They're so much fun, right? I mean, they do talk back, but you got to take the good with the bad, right? And I don't know how well I've done instilling the entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, neither one has like gone out and started a business yet, but then again, I really don't know if I want them to yet. I want them to just be kids and enjoy their life. I didn't start in business till, I was 19, and I've done fine. I think that just being around meaning the parents that are entrepreneurial, like they get it from me. I talk about things about investing and about my business. I share, I'm not hiding like the money that we make. I'm not hiding that. We talk about money. It's not taboo. We talk about how to stay humble and have a really good heart when you make money. I try to teach them principles of what it's going to be like, because they're going to get the money someday from my efforts, right? It's going to happen for them. I'm still working on how do I want to set it up so that like they're able to get blessed by it, but it doesn't hurt them in any way, and that it only accelerates and helps their life. It's not easy, right? When you give money, goes to people that didn't go through the struggle and the process of becoming the person that is capable of earning that type of money. It's not necessarily a really good thing for most people, right? And so that's lottery winners. We look at professional athletes. Why are almost all professional athletes broke after earning millions of dollars, in these high paying careers? Well, they just didn't simply have the skills and the mindset and the capability and the capacity to be able to hold on to it. They were never financially educated. I just want my kids to be financially educated. I'm putting my son through a 2-year course. We're going to start here pretty soon. It'll be once a month. We're just going to meet for an hour. We're going to go over a life lesson, and then he'll probably have some type of homework. And then after the 2 years of doing that, I'm going to say, I poured into you everything that I can pour into you right now. And I've prepared you and prepped you for life and what you do from here on out. I'll always be here to guide you, but it's largely up to you. And I did my part. I know that I didn't leave any stone unturned. So he's going to get like some type of reward too when he gets through the course. And that's my way of being an intentional father and trying my best to instill not only entrepreneurial spirit, but good stewardship of finances and how to be a good human.
Awesome. I should do that. They always want to see my CoinGecko app, and I want to show them. I should show them.
Yeah, I think, look, we only have 18 summers, with our kids, and then they're gone, right? And so now I'm down to, with my 15-year-old, I'm down to 3 more. And I look at that, I'm like, wow, time has flown. The next 3 are just going to fly by. And then he's gone, and then he's out, and I won't see him much. Just the nature of how it works, right? He's going to get out of the nest and go fly on his own. Well, I want to make sure that I did what I could to get him to that point to where I feel he's prepped, he's ready to go. And hopefully he doesn't make a lot of the same dumb decisions that I made over my life. And I'll help try to teach him, how to avoid those mistakes.
Sounds great. Awesome. So, wow, time has flown by. I love talking to you. I could talk to you for a half hour more, but I do want to thank you very much for your time. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I have one last question,
Mhm.
and it's this: is how can people find out more information about you, about your companies, to learn more from you? How can they do any of that?
Yeah, so my website is myindestructiblewealth.com, and I have a podcast with 130 episodes. I have a book. Some of my book talks about crypto. Um, I say go to that site, and then I've got blogs. You get on my email list, which is the Passive Income Playbook. I send out um, emails about for free, how to think about money and how to grow your money and how to create multiple streams of passive income. But the main thing that I offer at My Indestructible Wealth is if somebody has 50K or more that they've banked up, then I actually help them get they have three different alternative assets that I can set them up with. One of them is rental property, just boring, base hit, get on first base, rental property that you buy and hold for a decade. And I've done very, very well doing that. So I created a company called High Return Real Estate to help investors to buy rental property effectively. We do everything. We have the acquisition team, the rehab team, and the management team. It's essentially a turnkey deal. I have syndication deals that they can get in on. We just launched a car wash deal that's returns look incredible. This is for accredited investors. You have to make over 250K, or sorry, over 200K as a single filer, 300K filing jointly. And that's where my biggest and best investments are in syndication. Those are my favorite investments out of anything that I do. And then we also have the Bitcoin mining operation at simplecryptomine.com. We can set them up with automated Bitcoin mining. It's as easy as they buy the machines, and then we do everything else. We program them, host them, store them in a secure location, connect them to your pool, to the mining pool, connect it to your wallet for the payout, do all the repairs. I mean, it's literally, they're completely hands off. So that's how I really help, Jamil, is investors that they've got some money banked up and they really want to put it to work, and they don't want to just go to Wall Street. They don't want to buy stocks only and, all those other products that at full retail price. They want to get off the Wall Street grid and get into other really great asset classes. And I've been working on these systems for years to get to these point where these are like somebody could come in and just have something where they could buy it turnkey. So that's what I help, is people that are too busy to go out and flip houses and too busy to go out and figure out how to mine Bitcoin. We just take care of it for them.
Awesome. That sounds awesome to me. And yeah, I love the getting out of Wall Street too. So
Wealth without Wall Street. Let's go.
awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Jamil. Appreciate being on.